Hey everyone, it's Brandy and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be doing a contemporary recommendations video. I got a request a few weeks back to do one of these, so here I am today with you guys to do this video basically to talk about some contemporary books. So after looking through the books that I have read so far this year, I realized that I haven't really read too many contemporaries that I wanted to talk about. I feel like the majority of the contemporaries that I have read are contemporary romance. So I think eventually I want to do like a separate video for that. I'm not saying that these books don't have romance in them, but I feel like that those books are separate from the ones that I'm going to talk about today. I have 6 books that I want to talk about today. The majority of them are YA contemporary novels. I do have one that's like an adult historical fiction contemporary. But yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it. So the first book that I wanted to talk about is Forgive Me, Leonard Peacock by Matthew Quick. And this book follows a guy named Leonard Peacock. He is in high school. I can't remember exactly how old he is, but I'm going to read like the first 2 lines of the synopsis because I think it gives like a really good sum up of what to expect going into this book. So it says, today is Leonard Peacock's birthday. It is also the day he will kill his former best friend and then himself with his grandfather's P38 pistol. So that's basically all I had really heard about the book before I picked it up. That's what made me want to read it and figure out what's going on. Like I mentioned, we follow Leonard Peacock and he is going through some things in this book. I was really surprised by this book because although I heard that those 2 lines pretty much about the book, I really didn't know anything about what to expect going into this, and I can say that I was really surprised. It's kind of hard to really talk about this book without giving too much away because it is so short, but I will say that this book, what took me by surprise, I wasn't expected to enjoy this one as much as I did. There are some trigger warnings for like mental illness, I think possibly depression. I'm not too sure because I don't know a whole lot about mental illness besides what I read in novel form, so I don't really know too much about that. But also trigger warnings for sexual abuse, I believe, and possibly bullying as well, but I'm not really too sure because I read this last year. It was just unlike anything I have ever read before, and I would just suggest you guys give this a try if it sounds like something you would be interested in reading. So the next book that I have to talk about today is Highly Illogical Behavior by John Corey Whaley, and this book follows 16-year-old Solomon Reed, and he is agoraphobic. Basically, if you don't know what that means, it means he has a fear of leaving his house. So at the beginning of this book, he hasn't left his house in a little over 3 years. And this book also follows 17-year-old Lisa Prater, and she is getting ready to go off to college soon, and she's looking to get into the second best psychology program in the country. So she decides that she's gonna make Solomon her project. She's gonna try to work on him to get him over his agoraphobia and get him out the house. So this was the first time that I have ever read anything to do with agoraphobia, so I'm not really too sure about the representation and how well it was done, just because I have no personal experience with it and I don't know anybody with any experience with it. I was really happy with the way this ended up turning out. I had a fear of this being a girl comes in and fixes teen mental issues because it's a YA contemporary novel. But I was really happy that it didn't end up working out like that, and I don't really want to, it's weird because I don't want to talk about too much of it because I don't want to give anything away, because this is another pretty short book. This is another book that I was really surprised by. I had heard a lot of people talking about it, but I didn't know what to expect because I had never read anything about this author before this one. And yeah, I think it was really well done. The next book that I wanted to talk about was The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I received this book for a review and I really wasn't sure what to expect from this, just because it was slightly historical fiction and it was really outside of my comfort zone. So I was just like, I don't know if I really like this, but I'll give it a try just because it sounded interesting. And I was really surprised by this book. I wasn't really expecting too much from it, but I ended up just really enjoying it. So this one follows kind of a dual timeline. In the present, we are following Monique, and she is she works for a magazine or something like that, and she ends up getting a request from Evelyn Hugo to basically come and do a report on her. And Evelyn Hugo is this really big movie star from the 50, I don't remember the time period, but she is a really big old movie star, and in her lifetime she has gone through 7 husbands, and everybody has wanted to know, what happened, what caused her to have 7 different husbands, but she never talks about it at all. This is the first time that she has done any public interviews or anything for years and years. So it was really random that not only did she agree to do this, but that she requested this specific person who wasn't really well known. When she goes to meet her, Evelyn ends up basically telling her that she is going to give her life story, and she could do with it what she wills, because that's just what she decided. So this story, it just goes on such a journey, and it catalogs Evelyn's life from when she was just like, I think 13 or 14 years old up into basically the end of her career and where she is at now in life. I feel like a lot of people might have been talking about this book lately, but I definitely think it's worth it because I wasn't expecting it to like it, and I usually don't read things in this genre. The next book that I have to talk about is Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. This book follows Eliza, and she has become really popular online because of her webcomic series called Monstrous Sea. And she suffers from like severe anxiety, so she has decided to keep herself and her life private from all of her fans of her comic. So she goes under a pen name, and then one day this guy ends up moving to her school, and it turns out he is the most popular fan fiction writer of her comic, and she ends up finding this out, but he still doesn't know who she is. So of course, as you can expect, this causes issues within this. And this book has so many elements, and when I first heard about this, I was already really excited about this. This is one of my most anticipated reads of this year. Overall, I thought this book was really well done. Like I said, I don't really know too much about the mental illnesses that the characters deal with. I know the main character, Eliza, has severe anxiety, like I mentioned before, and that plays a big role in her life and how she interacts with people. And I really appreciate how it was incorporated into everything about her. I think that's what made it feel so real. The next book that I have to talk about is The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli. This book follows 17-year-old Molly. Basically, the whole premise is that she has had 27 unrequited crushes. I just realized that the majority of these books that I talked about had to do with mental illness. Not really sure what that's about, but hey, because I know the main character, I believe she also suffers with anxiety, but this is the only one that I know of where the person actually takes medication for their mental illness. So I appreciated that part about it. This story is known for having a lot of diversity. So like the main character is fat, and she comes from a family with 2 moms. One of her moms is black and one of them is Jewish. I really ended up enjoying the story because I found it really relatable. Although I didn't relate to every single thing that the main character went through, I felt like I could relate to a lot of her thoughts and feelings, and it just resonated with me so much, and I felt like Molly was me for the most part. I've heard mixed things about this, so this one is all about personal preference basically. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. So the last book that I wanted to mention, which I don't know if I really have talked about this book too much since I have read it, but the last of the contemporaries that I'm going to recommend today is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I think this is my favorite book this year so far. I just said that Molly was relatable to me. This book was like my childhood. Like this was my life almost growing up. Not everything, because you know, everything that went on in my life wasn't completely the same as what Star goes through. This book follows 16-year-old Star Carter. She goes to this party, I think it's on a break from school or something like that, like a week-long break. I can't remember which holiday it was for, but she ends up meeting up with a childhood friend of hers, and then later that night she ends up witnessing him get shot by the police, and he's unarmed. So this book definitely deals with the Black Lives Matter movement that has been going on across the world, and this book is absolutely amazing. Although this is like it deals with this serious topic, it's not the only thing that happens in this book. So within like the first couple chapters I was crying, but throughout the book I was crying, I was laughing, I was smiling really hard. It's just so much that this book deals with, and it is so good. And they have a movie there. I think they might have just finished wrapping the filming of the movie, and I cannot wait to see it because I love this book so much, and I'll probably be recommending this book for forever because it was just that amazing. This book, I think this is the only one excuse me, that I have talked about in this video that I have given 5 stars to, but it was absolutely worth it, and I think everybody should read this because I feel like any and everyone can get something out of this book. So you guys should just go check it out because it's so good. Those are all the books that I have to recommend to you guys today for my contemporary reads. If you have read these books, let me know what you thought about them down in the comments. And if you have any recommendations for me for contemporaries, definitely leave those down in the comments as well. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys again in the next one. Bye.